Welcome everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. This is an orientation session for the 260p New Media Introduction to Web Communications. My name is Michael Henry and I'm the facilitator for this class, and what we're going to do in the next 90 minutes or so is we're going to go through everything you need to know to get a great grade in the class and to participate and have a good time. So I'm Michael Henry, and I'm going to be the facilitator for this class. I enjoy teaching this class, and I like to keep it fairly interactive. So what I want you to do right now is to just sort of make sure that you can hear me, and you're participating by thinking about one communication technology that you've used in this past week. So just think of one web communication technology that you've used and type it into the chat window on the lower left-hand side of the screen. So just go ahead, and Brandon just said Facebook, and we're going to go ahead and see if we can get it. We've got, Michael says email. That's an easy one. Blackboard discussion board. Natalie says she's using the Blackboard discussion board. That is considered a web communication technology. What else? Let's get Fed and Brandon, Ashley in there. Says texting, and Ashley says Facebook. Great. So really, we're going to look at lots of different web communication technologies and the evolution of the technologies, but this course is not about technology. This course is about how we communicate as human beings, how we use these technologies, what purpose we use the technologies for, how do we use these technologies in terms of communication fields such as public relations or journalism or organizational communications, management, business management, marketing communications, interpersonal communications. How are these technologies used in a way that helps benefit the human condition? How are these technologies used to harm the human condition? So these are some of the issues we're going to talk about, and so since it's not a technical course, what I want you to do is I want you to use the Information Services Department and the Blackboard Help Desk if you have any technical problems. So the URL that you need to remember if you have difficulties is umkc.edu/IS for Information Services. And they have a great page there that shows whether or not there are any outages in servers that you may need to take the course or to do other things at the university. And it's really kind of a helpful page, and they also have ways to get in touch with people if you need specific help with the technology side of the class. But I also do want to warn you that there are many phishing problems out there, especially at UMKC for one reason or another, and so it's important for you to have virus protection on your computer. There are several out there, and if you don't have one of the ones listed on this screen, be sure to get virus protection of some sort on your computer. Many of these are free protection services, especially Security Essentials, that you can also get Avira and AVG and Avast in a free mode as well. And one of the things we're going to talk about is this idea of social presence, and the topic that we talk about in this course is really computer-mediated communications. And I teach another course that is in computer-mediated communications, and we go much more in depth into the theory and application of computer-mediated communications. But this is really an introduction to that topic, and also probably a little bit more practical in terms of the approach to the topic. But I do want you to understand that Short, Williams, and Christie in 1976 proposed this theory called social presence, and really it's the awareness of another online participant. So if you are speaking to someone, or even now, when I recognized Ashley as saying Facebook, and I recognize also that Ashley said the same thing as Brandon, that's something that oftentimes the computer will have a hard time making those kinds of observations. In addition, you're hearing my voice. We could turn on web cameras and have videos if you'd like as well. So it's the idea of transmitting and using your personality and your thoughtfulness and your unique characteristics and quality of your personality, playfulness and creativity to help people who are in an online environment know that you are a human being. And we'll talk a little bit more about this in a little bit, but it's really vital to your ability to communicate with other people. So social presence, there are lots of social presence networks out there. LinkedIn is sort of a professional network for social presence. And one of the points I'd like to make to you is that our communication, especially in the mediated environment of web communications, is stronger when the message comes from someone you know. Think for a moment about your inbox. You have hundreds of messages in your inbox. Which messages do you tend to answer first? Just somebody type into the chat window, which messages do you tend to answer first? Are they the first ones that are in your inbox? Friends and family, exactly. So if we understand that our attention goes to friends and family first, if you are trying to communicate with a larger audience, there's a message there. And that is that if you can develop a relationship with your audiences, and I'm speaking to people who understand a little bit about public relations or marketing or things of that nature, that if you have a way of helping people know that you are an individual, first of all, you care about the other people that you're speaking to, and you have a way of rising to the level of friend or family, or at least someone that they know, you have a tendency to go to those communications first. So include your individuality in your communications. Help people know who you are and recognize the individuality of your audience, and that is a significant way of using the social presence theory to increase your ability to communicate with others. So in terms of an introduction, I'll spend just a moment introducing myself, and I'm hoping also that we're going to get a couple of volunteers from our group here today to introduce yourselves as well. I started out, I got my bachelor's in communications at the University of Wisconsin, and I also worked at the public television station there in Madison, Wisconsin called WHA-TV. And that's not me on the corner, but I did a lot of E&G work and a lot of other field work as well as studio work, and I really enjoyed my time there. And I worked on many programs that were instructional television programs. And I really enjoyed the idea of using television to teach. And I had a friend in Los Angeles when I was working in Los Angeles. I moved to Los Angeles after a while, about 6 years at WHA-TV. And I produced corporate videos and educational video in Los Angeles. And I had a middle school friend who said, have you ever heard this expression? Because I was talking about how I really am frustrated trying to figure out how to use video really to help teach people. And she said, have you ever heard this expression? Tell me, I forget. Show me, I remember. And involve me, I learn. And it's attributed to a Chinese proverb, but it really helped me understand what teaching and learning is all about. And that is really that my goal in this class is to figure out a way to get you involved in the process of learning about web communications technology. So with that in mind, think about what we're going to do in this class, and it's all about exploration, and it's about investigating the issues related to web communication technology, and also finding a way to actively pursue the experiences of web communication technology. So let's start with some issues related to web communication and internet communication. Many of you have seen the things that are posted in Facebook or other places, and oftentimes the issue of fact and opinion get confounded. And of course, we know that a fact is something that is true about a subject or can be tested or proven. So something that has a great deal of a verifiability, something that has the ability it sort of is or is not. A fact is something that is really not a gray area in fact. However, we also have a lot of opinion. And frankly, opinion and fact get very confused. And opinion is basically what someone thinks, feels, or believes. I mean, that is the definition of an opinion. And so people have a lot of different opinions, but they oftentimes confuse them with facts. So we're going to do just a little bit of a little game here. So type into the chat window right now, is this just type either fact or opinion. The Earth revolves around the sun. Fact or opinion? Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 facts. Okay, and how would you know that? How do you know that? And therein lies sort of the question, is that what we have to do is we have to either rely on educated sources, or we have to investigate and prove it for ourselves. So there are things we can do physically that you can do yourself, experiments that you can do yourself, to determine whether or not the Earth actually revolves around the sun. But most of us simply believe what we've heard over and over again from people who are educated people. And so we trust those sources, and also because they're very consistent as well. But what about this one? Ronald Reagan was President of the United States January 20th, 1981 to January 20th, 1989. Is this a fact or opinion? We've got one fact. Sounds right. Brandon says it sounds right. We could probably have people going and looking it up on the internet right now. Natalie says it's a true fact. Yep, fact. Okay. Well, and again, this is something that you could, it is verifiable. I mean, it's, number one, it's so specific. Most of us know either from history or from our own experience that Ronald Reagan was actually President of the United States. So there's a sort of a general truthfulness about it. But it's important sometimes to be able to go out and actually verify it. And when you verify it, what is the source that you use for your verification? How about this one? All men are created equal. Fact or opinion? Go ahead and just type into the chat window, fact or opinion. Brandon says it's opinion. Everyone else's morally sound opinion, okay? Opinion, or fact, debatable, okay? That's interesting. Opinion, okay? And we have someone that just joined us as well. Stacy, I think, just joined us. So the issue is here is now some people would say all men, meaning males, would be something that would be exclusionary to females, and so therefore it's, number one, a flawed statement, even if it were considered a morally sound opinion. But is it an opinion? Is it fact? Okay, so let's continue this just a little bit further. The issue is we also have reporting that is not very well verified. We have a lot of reporting that happens on the internet that is single source reporting. For example, this is an example here, is a viral story about a Bible-hating Missouri teacher falls apart after the principal investigates. So there was a story that was out on the internet about this quote-unquote Bible-hating Missouri teacher, and what happened is that there was just a little bit of investigation that was done after the story was posted, and it turns out that the principal found no evidence that it had even happened, or or that the principal reported that there was no evidence of the teacher restricting free time reading of the Bible. So what's interesting here is that people are confused because they'll see a story on the internet and they don't dig into the source of where the story came from and whether or not it's true. So here's another one. This one, and I don't want to sort of be a liberal or conservative side of these issues because they're on both sides. Massive child immunization strategy is barred. There was a new bill that was supported by President Clinton to increase immunizations, but there was a story that the immunization strategy was barred. In 1989, after nearly a decade of federal cutbacks in immunizations, the previously successful measles vaccine program broke down. This was reported in the newspaper, and CDC revealed that the spending actually rose even though there was a story about federal cutback. There was still an increase in spending. So sometimes people will take statistics, or they'll take figures and they'll make them sound like they're different than what they actually are. Here's another one that, oftentimes you'll hear words like killing Social Security, ending Social Security, and of course there are times when even a cutback or an adjustment in a program like Social Security is called killing Social Security. And of course, this is not true. So it's really important to be wary of those words. Okay, it looks like we're back. Let me just go ahead and type into the chat window. It looks like we had just a short break in our network connection. Just type yes in the chat window that you hear my voice and that you're ready to keep going. Okay, that's great. Sorry about that. That happens. So the issue is look at bias. Look at bias that you may see in. Actually, now I'm a little bit in trouble here because I need to get my standby here. Okay. So get the facts, that's the issue. Okay, then we've also got this other issue, and religion and politics and money are all getting confounded and confused here as well. And let's talk just a little bit, and I know that there are very religious and people that take classes at the university, and people that may have been told over time that evolution is not true, or that that evolution is just a theory, which frankly is true. or that evolution is contrary to God's creation plan. And so it's important to really understand how words are used in these communications. So, for example, there's a site, this particular site, Creation Science Today, espouses the fact that evolution is the greatest deception on modern history. But you have to look at the site and what is the purpose of the site. Well, frankly, more than anything, the site sells books. And so if you have a source that is just making a comment or a statement, if they are selling something, that's really their primary motivation. So it's important to really look very closely at bias and information. And there's also another point that I'd like to make specifically about evolution. And we may very likely have people in the course who simply have been told over time that evolution is contrary to God's law. And I consider myself, frankly, a spiritual person. I grew up Catholic. I have a great respect and love for people of faith. And I consider myself a person of faith. I am awed by the majesty of the world. But I also know that we don't believe in evolution. Evolution is on that level of seeking facts. So you don't actually believe in a fact. A fact either is or is not. So if somebody says, I don't believe in evolution, I generally say, I agree with you. I don't believe in evolution either. We seek the truth about the origins of life, the origins of the universe. However, on a faith side, we do, quote unquote, believe in God, because God is not something you prove. God is something you have a belief or a faith in. Just by the nature of the word faith means that you don't prove that there is God. So whenever somebody brings you this debate of, I don't believe in evolution, help them understand the distinction between those two things, because one is a seeking of facts and the other one is faith. They're clearly two different things. So I want to, at this point, I'm hoping I inspired a couple of you to join the discussion here. And I would love to have somebody contradict anything I've said so far. I would love to have you volunteer to come on the panel. And the way to do that is basically just type into the chat window and say, I volunteer. I will need volunteers for two reasons, two volunteers. One is to introduce yourself, and it's very simple. You just introduce yourself. And the second part is to help me with two activities that we have coming up, and they're basically just reading something off the screen. So if you think your computer was set up with a microphone, or you have a microphone on your computer, or you're on a mobile device and you have earbuds and a microphone on your mobile device, feel free to just type into the chat window right now and let me know that you would like to volunteer to help out on the panel. I can't go any further until I get a volunteer, so I'm going to just wait till we get a volunteer, just someone that says, I'd be happy to volunteer, or I will do it. There's Michael. Michael says he will volunteer. That's fantastic. And Michael, what I'm going to do is open up your microphone so that you're able to speak. And what will happen is you can just click on the talk button on your panel there, and once you do that, you should be able to speak.
So is it working?
It sure is. Excellent, Michael. I'm glad you're there.
Right.
So hang on. I need one more. You can click yourself off for the time being, just so that if we know you're there. Then also, can we get one other volunteer? One other volunteer, please. Michael did it, and it's easy. Just say, I will volunteer, or I can do it, or call on me. Waiting. Waiting. Come on, guys, don't be so shy. This is a communications class. We should be able to communicate. There we go. Excellent. Oh, Sayed. Oh, I'm glad that you're volunteering because I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce your name. So why don't you go ahead and click on the talk button on the top left-hand corner of your screen and...
Hello?
Yes, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Excellent. Do I pronounce your name Sayed?
Actually, I go by Mubashir or Mo for short. That is actually my first name legally, but I don't go by that name.
Okay, so you go by Mo?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we've got Michael and we've got Mo. That's great. Excellent. Okay, you can go ahead and click on the talk button again just to mute yourself, and I'll bring you in just a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk just briefly about the syllabus. What I'd like you to do is this is a moral question that I'm going to ask right now. Have you seen and read the syllabus? And I know that there was a problem actually earlier that you couldn't get to the syllabus. So those of you who went through the course like on Wednesday or Thursday, did you look at the syllabus? So what I want you to do is to type I read it, or I skimmed it, or I looked at it, or I didn't look at it, I haven't seen it. Is there a syllabus in this course? Go ahead and just type into the chat window. I skimmed it. We've got 2 skims. Ashley and Stacy say they skimmed it. We've got Natalie says read it. David says skimmed it as well. Nabili, I can't pronounce your name, is skimmed it, great. Glanced at it, Michael says he glanced at it. Skimmed it and read important parts, excellent. So the issue is that a syllabus is obviously very important to any course, but it's more important to an online course because there are things happening all over the place, and sometimes, as you discovered, you can't get to some of the resources because of technical issues. The syllabus should have all of the required resources at least mentioned, so that if you don't have access to something, you can see what you're missing in the syllabus. So I'm really happy to hear that most of you have taken a look at it, and I want to encourage you to look closer at the syllabus. Also, in terms of the learning objectives, at the end of the course, we want you to be able to demonstrate your understanding of the issues related to computer-mediated communications, CMC, in a team environment. You'll find out more about that in a little bit. We want you to identify effective uses of internet communication tools, identify criteria for evaluating internet information. We've already talked about that a little bit. Evaluate the integrity of information found on the internet. Identify bias in online sources. Evaluate and cite sources from websites and online resources. Search for information from academic and private databases. Determine the author, source, and publisher and domain for information and graphics found on the internet. Identify top-level domains and identity of ownership of domains. Evaluate the advantages and disadvantages of various technologies for particular communication objectives. Outline a process to effectively work with a team using web communication tools. Identify problems and benefits of communicating in distributed teams, meaning that you're not face-to-face, you're all over the world, frankly. Identify ways internet technology can affect organizational communications, and document understanding in written word and constructively criticize team and individual mediated communications. So that's those are the objectives for the course. I want to point out that I have lots of ways for you to contact me. Cell phone is there. I prefer it if you send an email first to me, but in an emergency situation, I'm happy to have you give me a telephone call or text. The teaching philosophy is, as you can tell already, we're not going to be just reading books and regurgitating in multiple choice tests. We're going to be experiencing the issues related to web communication technology. So this is hopefully an active learning experience. We will use mediated communications to teach this class. And the expectations of the readings are that you're going to seek out your own readings, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. The discussion board is going to be a significant area for communications. And it's important to realize that I will be looking at the quality of your responses. So think about thoughtful responses to your fellow students. So I don't expect you to read all of the responses. I don't expect you to respond to all of the responses in the discussion areas. But I do expect you to pick one or two, actually two primarily, other responses and respond to those in a thoughtful way. So it's better to spend quality time than quantity time. So if you work in the course even an hour or two at a given day, spend quality time thinking about the issues and then reflect that in your discussion responses. Academic integrity is vitally important to any university course. There are deans that have been fired from UMKC for academic integrity. It's a crucially important issue, especially in academic circles. I don't expect you to be responsible for every word that you have typed in your responses, but I do expect you to cite sources. So to be safe, copying and pasting text is never useful, but if you attribute text to someone else, then you're at least not plagiarizing. The grading policy, just so you know, is not on it's basically on a point system, and it's very straightforward in terms of your points. So just take a look at your points and you'll know exactly what grade you have. I really want to see everyone get an excellent grade in the class too. That's really my goal, is to help you get an excellent grade in the class. Also, plagiarism is a problem. It's generally not a problem in this class because all of the papers and all of the assignments are going to be so specific to our experiences that it's really not worth your while to try to find a paper to turn in for this class. But you know what? Try your luck for it. I saw plagiarism.net. For $10 a page, you can have somebody write a paper for this class. And I kind of dare you, but I also want to make sure you understand it wouldn't just cost you $10. If you plagiarize a page, you can be dismissed from the university pretty readily. Excuse me. And we have reading. So I mentioned that we want your readings to be readings that you find. Right now, I want to have you just type into the chat window. Take just a moment, and I'm going to actually bring up our volunteers, Mo and Michael. What I want you to think about right now is your sort of 5-year or 10-year plan for yourself. Some of you are interested in being an artist. Some of you are interested in being a journalist. Some of you are medical students. Some of you are interested in the legal profession or public policy or politics. Some of you are interested in public relations or marketing communications or social media. What I'd like you to do is to share right now what your 5 or 10-year goal is. I know that some of you are working in different capacities now, but think about where you want to be in that 5 or 10 years down the road. And then Mo, I'll bring you in first. Why don't you go ahead and share just a little bit about yourself at this point, and also share your academic goal and your professional goal.
Okay, so right now I'm in 4th year in med school. So in 5 years down the road, I plan to hopefully graduate program and then move on to residency and pursue cardiology. That's what I feel like is what I want to do right now. And to do that, I have to go and hopefully match into an internal medicine residency. And so my goal right now is to just study hard and do well on the board exams that I have to take in the next calendar year, and then work from there and just try to do research opportunities, whatever I can to help myself and get to the position that I want to do in cardiology.
That's great. That's great, Mo. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a good friend who's a cardiologist at University of Kansas Medical Center.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Porter is a very good friend of mine. He's a very, very, very well-respected cardiologist in Kansas City. And I also made a video many years ago about angioplasty at the Los Angeles Heart Institute when I was doing educational videos. So I know a little bit about cardiology, not what I would call enough to do anything about it, but I know a little bit about the process. So that's great. I'm really happy that you're in the class, Noel. Thank you.
All right.
Michael, how about you?
Well, I'm on the same program as Mo, same year and everything, so a lot of it is going to seem kind of similar.
You're a cardiologist. You're interested in being a cardiologist as well?
Cardiology has caught my eye, but I'm probably not as for sure as Mo is. I kind of want to have a chance to see the different specialties, and we should have an opportunity coming up in the next year, and then figure out which one fits my personality well. If it's pediatrics because I like working with kids, or if it's cardiology just because it's something I've always been fascinated with. So I don't know for sure right now, but the roadmap looks kind of similar. Study for boards, graduate, and then try to get into a good residency.
Excellent.
Kind of similar.
That's great. And I'll share a little bit as well. Do either of you, Mo or Michael, know what the Jatane procedure is for babies? There's do either of you know?
Actually, I've not heard of that procedure, no.
And I don't know if I don't know that either, Michael. And I may not be pronouncing it correctly, but it's where the great arteries of the heart, it's a congenital defect, a heart defect, where the great arteries are switched, so that the babies are born blue.
Yeah, I've heard of that in pathology. I didn't know about the procedure though, but yeah, heard about the pathology.
And the procedure is, I think it's called the Jatane, and again, I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but I did a video on that procedure also at the Los Angeles Heart Institute with surgery on an infant. Yeah, it was crazy. So here's what we're doing right now. We're making sure that we're connecting with each other's life goals. As mostly in terms of professional life goals, but they're tied oftentimes to our personal goals. And what I want you to do in this class is to connect your investigation of communication technology to your life goals. So feel free, when you go out and seek out a reading, what I want you to do is look in the readings, professional readings for your particular area. Now, we didn't have anyone else type into the chat window. What I want is you listeners out there, Natalie and Grant and David and Brandon, Ashley and Alex, what I want you to do is to type into the chat window your particular area of interest in the next 5 to 10 years. Do I have any politicians in the group? Do I have any, there's Natalie's law, and, actually we have, I missed here, Brandon, just to graduate, have kids, and buy some land and build a home. IT, so Brandon's very interested in the IT world, okay, so that's important. And then, okay, and actually Takura is someone that I happen to know, so people logging in and out of the room. Okay, that's another issue. Okay, that's great. Okay, so the issue is the readings for each of the modules. I want you to focus on your particular area. So, for example, the reading in the first modules is communication technologies and techniques. So, what communication technologies and techniques are there? Articles can you find related to medicine? What articles about communication technologies and techniques are there related to legal issues or to law? So what you can do is really investigate not only the issue of communication technologies and techniques, but also those specific areas that are related to your particular goal. So I hope everyone understands that, because we didn't get a lot of folks to share their area of interest, but we'll hopefully you all understand that. But what I want you to do is to think about the reading. I don't want you to regurgitate the reading. I want you to give a short assessment. Was it valuable to you? Because, you know, everything we read is not necessarily valuable. Was it valuable? How did it relate to the topic? So how did it relate to communication technologies and techniques? And then also be sure to provide a citation and a link to the reading itself. Stacy says, I'm a student. I'm on a plan on working at an agency after graduating and moving from to LA. Stacy, what type of agency? There are lots of agencies out there. I've worked with talent agencies. I've worked with public relations agencies. I've worked with marketing agencies, advertising agencies. So feel free to type what type of agency you would be interested in. Okay, great. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone. And Stacy says, I met ICM, talent agency. Okay, great. Excellent. So the writing requirement of the course, there are two papers, the midterm and the final. Only two papers. The midterm is a simpler version actually of the final paper. Both of those papers are going to be very similar. I'm looking for, in the midterm, more of a report of how you are progressing towards your final project, and then the final paper is a complete analysis of the experience. So that's really the difference between those two papers. The final paper might be slightly longer, but really not. The first paper has at least one outside source for your paper, and the final paper has at least two outside sources for your paper. If you're not familiar with APA writing formatting, do get familiar with that. There's a title page, there's an introduction to your topic, there's a body, conclusion, and then a reference page. It's fairly simple. But if you're not familiar with that, please reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you and give you some guidance. And there's also a writing center on campus to make sure that you well understand what is required. And then also citing sources, I encourage you to use the APA source citing format, which is basically the author, the date of publication in parentheses, the title of the article, the title of the periodical or the text, and then retrieved from, and then the address for the article. And I do encourage you to use in-text citations. So if you're writing a paper, you would put an in-text citation for your references so that they can be traced back to your references page. So APA writing styles right here, it's title page, introduction, discussion, body, conclusion, and references. And it's important to really think about telling a story. Also think about what I enjoy seeing in your papers is your application of the topic or the question to your particular area of interest. And it goes back to what we talked about before. It's really important for you to focus on your particular area of interest and apply what you're learning to that particular area. And then uploading papers is a little bit tricky, believe it or not, in Blackboard. Most of the activities, you just click on the discussion and you post your activities in the discussion area. But for the papers, the midterm and the final, there is a link at the top of the instructions, and it says midterm paper upload. And that's where you upload your paper. And feel free to send me an email message if you get to that point and don't know where to put it. So some of the main messages we have in this course are to trust but verify. That's this issue of hearing what other people say and sort of trusting it, but verifying whether or not it's true to your satisfaction. Also, citing resources is a vital skill to help strengthen your credibility. So if you're telling someone that this is true, whether it be a medical procedure or whatever, if you cite the sources of where you found out that information or who is an authority in that information, it will elevate your credibility. And then also develop your mediated communication skill. So we're hoping by the end of this course you're going to be skillful at communicating with others. And many of you, I'm sure, believe that you're already very skillful at mediated communications, but I'm hoping that you become more skillful and more efficient and more effective in your ability to communicate with others. So trusting is a big issue in Internet communications, and it falls to this issue of reliable sources. So there are many sources out there, and what we need to do is start differentiating between reliable sources and unreliable sources. So a reliable source, the characteristics of a reliable source is that it is verifiable. If you have something that's out there that is unverifiable or not verifiable or difficult to verify, it becomes less reliable. Also, third-party review, peer review, third-party review is an incredibly important technique to improve reliability. If you have someone dig deep into an article that you've written or dig deep into an experiment that you did to find out, did you use methods that were approved? Did you use a logical process? Did you use precautions to keep things pure in terms of the data? It's very important, and cite those third parties as part of your credibility. Also, you can find lots of articles on the internet with no author identified. That's just plain not reliable. I mean, if you see information that just simply doesn't have an author, it's interesting information. It may pique your interest, but it really is not what you would call a reliable source. Are other sources cited? So looking for those other sources, and as we use this verifiable strategy of looking for other sources, it helps to create an environment with more reliable information. So begin to poke at people when they cite or when they share something and it has no verifiability whatsoever. Ask them where the heck they found that. What is their other source? Is there another source? Look at research-based materials and then look for limited bias. By the way, research does not necessarily mean reliable. Many of you know this. Just because someone publishes research does not make it reliable. Where was it published? How was it published? Was it peer-reviewed? Was it rigorous? Has it been done previously? So it's very important for us to be very clear about reliable sources. And also computer-mediated communications, in terms of the skills that we're looking for you to develop, we're looking for human interface, machine interface skills. We're also looking for you to develop an understanding of what marketing and public relations and brand and reputation are. We're looking for you to be able to connect technology and culture and understand the influence of technology on culture. Many times you can go to a restaurant and you might find an entire table of people peering at their phones and not talking to each other, which is, many people say I'm very quaint, thinking that people actually talk to each other. But it's interesting to think about what are the cultural effects of that kind of interaction, that kind of human interaction that we have nowadays. What does it do in the workplace? What are our workplaces? And again, I'll go back to, Mo and Michael are working in the medical world. We basically have complete data records that are electronic. What are the problems there? What issues are related to electronic charts? You know, what kinds of opportunities do we have in those environments? There are opportunities there, but there are also dangers. So think about those kinds of things. Also, organizational communications, interpersonal communications, and the effects also for government and public affairs. So we're going to go through one quick exercise called phishing email. What I want you to do, and this is everyone's going to participate in this with the chat window. And what I want you to do is to look at this message and then just type into the chat window bogus or not, or you know, real or not. Here's the first one. I'm going to be quiet and let you just read this message. And what I want you to do is when you figure it out, I want you to type real or fake or phishing or whatever. Okay, and there's a lot of people sort of saying real, and that would be a good estimation from this particular message. And then it'd be good for you to think about the qualities of this message that make it real. Does anybody have an idea? And actually, Mo and Michael, if you want to pipe up and say why you think it's real, feel free to open your mics and just let me know why you think it's real. What qualities are in this message that make you think it's real?
Well, I think what makes this real is that it says like protect your password, don't give your password to anyone. It's not asking for personal information or your social security. It's just not a message that's asking you for personal information, what I think a phishing message would do. Great.
And also the other thing is this is called an HTML text. I'm sorry, it's not an HTML text message. This is a text-only message. It has no links. You can't actually click on this URL here. So in other words, what you see is what you get. And you can see that it goes to PayPal.com. And then Natalie says the email's from PayPal server. It tells the consumer to protect their password. It admits that there will be no response to the email. Okay, so you see those are some things. Also, it has my name here. It says, Dear Michael Henry, so that tells me that it's perhaps real. Okay, so how about this one? Take a look at this one and come up with some reasons why it is or it is not real. So go ahead and look at this and then let me know. Think about why it's not real. If you think it's a phishing email, think about why it's not real. Okay, Akira, where's the misspelling? Okay, see there's a giveaway. Oftentimes, email that are done by others will have misspellings. Also, it doesn't have my name on it. The other thing is it is using an HTML mail. So this link, I wonder where this link goes. And you can hover your mouse over a link, and it will tell you where that link goes. And so this particular link does not go to PayPal. It goes to quietmomentcreations.com, which is a phishing site. So there you go. Okay, how about this one? What would you do? Don't tell me if this is real or not real. Tell me what you would do if you got this email. What would you do? Okay. Okay, there's a couple of people who say just delete it and move on. Okay, Takira, I like what Takira says. Takira says I would contact them through customer service just to double check the validity of the email, because I did exactly that. We have a telephone number here, and so I did not click on this button. What I did was I contacted their customer support by calling them, and it is indeed real. This particular, Alex said I would friend them on Facebook. I love that. Yeah, that's actually kind of an interesting idea. You could check these guys out too to see whether or not, but anyhow, so I did give them a call, and it is actually for real. This email is just really poorly constructed. It's horrible. It's just what I would call, it looks like a phishing email, but it actually is for real. So the important part here is to investigate. The important part here is not just to delete something because you think it looks unreal, but to look deeper into it to find out what it really is. So it didn't have my name. It does go to Network Solution, but I called them and it was for real. So now here's a political thing. I want you to read this, and then I want you to think about what would you do if you saw this. I would unfriend them on Facebook, okay? Any other takers? What do you think? Anything to, okay. Well, basically, the issue is this is something that you could go out and find out if this person really, if Ted Cruz really said this. I mean, fortunately, we do have enough of electronic record that you could do some, if you believe that he did say this, you could find the source. There is no source here, so it would be possible for you to check into it. And that's kind of what I did in this particular circumstance. So we have lots of these little memes that are out there, and you know, like this one, Abraham Lincoln. What's interesting is, does anybody look at this picture up in the top right, and it says the trouble with quotes on the internet is you can never know if they are genuine. And it says Abraham Lincoln. What? I mean, yeah, it's not Lincoln. It's Benjamin Franklin. So I mean, the point is of all of this is that people put these things out there, and frankly, they're not true. More often than not, a lot of these things are not true. And it's important for us to have the will to go and seek out the source, or to simply ask people, where is your source? What source do you have that this information was put out there? So don't believe just what you see. You know, look at it and ask people for their source. So let's do a little learning game. And what I want to do is I'm going to bring in, let's bring in Michael first. And what I'll do is, Michael, you're just going to help me deliver this learning game. And now I should preface this by saying that in this course, what we're going to do as the final project is a learning game similar to this one, or you'll have lots of ability to do something different if you want to. But what I want you to do for the final project is, in a team, you're going to create a learning game for all of us to play in the final meeting, just like we're doing in this meeting right here. So this is kind of an example, and I mentioned some things in the discussion today, and I want to find out how much you remember so far. So Michael, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself just a little bit more. Tell me just a little bit more about your situation. How long have you been at UMKC? How long have you been in Kansas City? Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
All right. Well, again, I'm Michael Price, and I actually have met quite a few people in the class because they're also med students, so they probably know a bit about me. But I've been going to UMKC for 4 years in their 6-year medical program, and that currently takes up all my academic attention. So that, I guess that was what I'd say my academic interests are. I was born and raised in Kansas City in South Oakland Park. I'm a huge fan of the Royals. And just some personal interests of mine, or the way I blow off steam and relax, is I'm part of a big family. I have 9 kids, and so usually if I just want to get away and relax, I'll just spend an evening with my family, and we'll just relax, watch a movie or something, chat. So that's a little bit about who I am.
That's excellent, Michael. Do you know anything about Sporting KC?
I know about Sporting KC, and I definitely support them, but I haven't ever actually been able to go to a game.
Okay.
I got to see them when they won the national championship right before one of my teams, so it was kind of fun to watch that, but I don't get to follow them as much.
Okay, great. Well, actually, I've got the Dom Dwyer lives right down the street, and he plays on Sporting KC. He's a great player there. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, Michael, is to go ahead and read the rules. So you can just basically read the rules, and we'll ask if people understand the rules. So go ahead and read the rules.
All right. So the rules are to type your answers into the chat window and to play this game individually. No speaking the answers. I guess that means like as I'm speaking in the mic right now. Answer a quick question to be selected to play. I'm not sure if I understand that rule.
Okay, and that's great. We're going to make like a real easy question for people to respond to. Like, for example, what is the opposite of white? You know, and they just type the answer in the chat window, or you'll see. I'll give you another example, and you're going to be coming up with those quick questions. So.
Okay. All right.
Alex says red. Alex says red.
All righty. So the first person to answer correctly will play for the board. Guess one letter at a time. If there are letters on the board, you will get another turn. First person to correctly state the phrase during your turn at the board wins. So yeah, it's a lot like Wheel of Fortune.
There you go. Okay, so and it's pretty simple. And so I'll do the first quick question, the first qualifying question to find someone to play the board. And I'm going to ask you to type into the chat window, the first person to type into the chat window the acronym for the university where we're going right now. Okay, so that's Takira. So Takira is our first contestant. And so you right now have the option to guess a letter on the board. So just go ahead and think of a letter and go ahead and guess the letter on the board. Okay, T. Let me actually, hold on a second here. I need to fix my... Okay, there are 3 T's on the board. So there's 1 T here. Oops, and I've got the wrong color. I'm going to do a different color here. Okay, and I'm also going to make this bigger too. Hold on a second. I'm not quite set up here. Let me hold on. Get rid of that. And I'm going to make a letter a little bit bigger so you can see it. Okay, there's a T there, there's a T here, and there's a T here. Okay, And see, now what we do, Michael, is you need to come up with another quick oh, no, I'm sorry. Now we tell Takira that you can guess another letter because you did guess correctly. Go ahead, Takira. Guess another letter. Oh, you only see one T? That's interesting. I've got 3 on the board right now.
No, I see 3. There was only 2 for a second.
Oh, okay. You know what? I think it was because I had it still activated. Okay, great. So go ahead and guess another letter. B. There is one B on the board. There is one B. It's right here. Oops. See if I can do this. Why is my... There we go. Okay, there's one B right there. Okay, so since you got a letter, you can guess another letter. A. Whoa, no A. Okay, so then that means that Takira is out, and Michael is going to come up with another. There's an A at the bottom of the screen here. So, Michael, you can come up with another quick qualifying question for the crowd.
All right, what color is the sky?
Okay. Now we've got 2 blues, and you have to decide whether or not you accept blue as the answer. Alex says red. So since you are making the rules here, Michael, you can accept any answer you want.
All right, well, I have Nilby as saying blue first, and that's what I was thinking, so I think we'll go with that. Okay,
so Nabi, do you know how to pronounce?
Yeah, I think it's Nilby.
Nilby? Okay, Nilby, you're up, and you can guess a letter on the board. H. Oh my goodness, no H. We are going to come up with another short answer, and we're going to put H down here. And so go ahead. We've got, oh no. Okay, so go ahead, and we need another short qualifying question.
Okay, what city is UMKC in?
Okay, Takira was the first one up with KCMO. If you accept that as the answer, that's the correct answer. Otherwise, Stacy says Kansas City.
I think KCMO counts.
Okay, Takira, you're up. Go ahead and guess a letter. I. There is one I on the board, and we'll put the I right here. And what you can do is you can, since you got a correct letter, you go ahead and guess another letter. L. There is no L on the board. So we are going to put an L down here below, and we need another qualifying question.
All right. Well, I've lived in Kansas my whole life. So what's the capital city of Kansas?
Okay.
Yeah, Mo got it right.
Okay, great. Mo, but remember, there's no speaking the answer, Mo. You cannot speak the answer. You can only type it in the chat window. So you have to participate only with text. So, Mo, you are ready to guess a letter on the board. So go ahead and take a moment to guess a letter on the board. U. There are 2 U's on the board. There's one U here and one U here. And since you guessed correctly, you get to guess another letter. O. There is no O on the board. Oh, so sorry. So now what we do is we put an O down here, And we ask Michael for another qualifying question.
Okay. What season are we in? Like time of year season.
Okay, Stacy says summer, and we don't.
Yeah, it's still summer.
It's still summer. Okay, so Stacy, you get a chance to guess a letter on the board. Go ahead and guess a letter on the board. R. There are two R's on the board. There's one R here, and there's one R here. All right, since you guessed correctly, you get to guess another letter on the board. Or you get to S. We have one S. Okay, and at this point, you may be able to type the correct response in the chat window, and that would be, if Stacy knows the answer, you could type the correct response. Everyone else, if you know the response, you can't do it unless you get to be a contestant and play on the board. So Stacy, you can either guess another letter or you can guess the whole phrase. Stacy, what are you doing? She's probably going out to the C. Okay, let's see. There is no C. Oh, Lordy, we're going to have the entire phrase up there before you get to know. No C on the board. That means we need another short answer, a short question, qualifying question from Michael. And I know it gets difficult after a while, but you can make up any question you want.
All right. We'll keep it real simple. What color is grass?
What?
What color is grass?
Okay, we got Takira says green. Takira, let's keep this game moving. Takira, what is your letter to guess on the board? There you go. Trust but verify. Okay, so let's, everybody please, we have no way of applauding. So what I want you to do is, well, there is a little applaud hand signal up there at the top. You can type into the chat window and say, way to go, Takira. And also thank Michael for being our host for this game. So just type into the chat window right now and say thanks to both those people, to Michael and also to Kira for winning the game. So this is an example of how you might put a game together. And Trust but Verify is something that we discussed earlier. And it was really popularized when Ronald Reagan was negotiating with Mikhail Gorbachev, and I was, since I'm an old guy, around then, and I knew that this was happening, and I went into Wikipedia, and I actually have a source of Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a source. Don't let people say it's not a source. However, it needs to be cross-verified, and since I was alive at the time when Ronald Reagan was negotiating with Mikhail Gorbachev, it was easy for me to verify that source with Wikipedia. So that's a really important concept, to trust but verify. So we don't want to reject ideas or comments from people because we think they're false. What we want to do is listen to them and then verify them. And that's the process of communicating in this environment. So let's turn our attention to the final project. You saw a little example of what the final project is all about. And we know that people are, more and more, people are working at a distance. Even in healthcare, radiologists are working all over the world and are diagnosing radiographs all over the world. That changes the entire profession. So we have teleworkers who are in a distributed workforce who never see their coworkers, but they work daily with their coworkers. I have team members that I work on for videos and educational projects that I work on, who I never see. So we're going to talk about how we work together in these distributed working environments. And so the final project is laid out in the online course. So go to the course map and you can see also when activities are due. by going to the calendar. So click on the calendar on the left-hand side, and you'll see when the activities are due. Generally, I will be sending an email message at the beginning of the week to help you understand when activities are due. In Module 1, I want you to explore communication technologies and techniques. We talked about that particular module a little bit. In Module 4, we're going to talk about communication and social interaction on the Internet. And Module 4 is when we will deliver the final project, which is a learning game that you create with your your teammates in the class. I will assign your team, so you are assigned to a team. Now, and Michael basically says, and Mo, that you guys sort of know each other, or several of you know each other. I want to caution you that I'd like you not to work on this project face-to-face. We want to simulate this idea of working in a mediated environment. So try as best you can not to communicate face-to-face about how you're going to do your project. Try to do it just in a mediated environment. What I want to do, though, is caution you that it's really important to start working on your final project now. So begin to think about how you're going to do your final project, because this is an 8-week session. It will fly by, and I want you to start working on your final project and work on it throughout the entire course. So it's a collaborative learning game. We want you to develop the game in a team where you don't see each other face-to-face. We want you to elect or pick or volunteer to be the leader to coordinate the team. And then as a group, we want you to select a topic, a game format, the rules of the game, and create the game. That's the first part of the assignment. So the first part of the assignment is actually the experiential part, which is to create the game. The second part is the part that you will be graded on, and that is how you analyze the process of web communication, how you analyze in your paper for your reflection of what issues you dealt with in creating the game. There are several examples that are very good examples that you can consider to create your game. Many people have crossword puzzle, or word jumble, or $10,000 pyramid. But I do want to point out that a lot of people like to use Jeopardy, but it really is not a good format to use. And the reason is Jeopardy Okay, it looks like we're back. Sorry about that. Go ahead and just type into the chat window, yes, I hear you, or yes, whatever you want to say, that we'll be back on. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I have Google Fiber here, so I'm pretty certain that I'm not the one having a problem, but there might be a server problem that keeps getting me disconnected. Anyhow, the point that I want to make is that Jeopardy is not a great type of game to use, and the reason is that Jeopardy is done as a random access, so people usually select a category and an amount of money that they want to wager for each of their Jeopardy questions. It's easier if you find a game that is linear, so that you basically go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through the questions rather than randomly access through the questions. The other tip I'd like to give is that the person that you pick as the host is really a key to success. It should be someone very outgoing. You can tell just by Michael and my interaction with that last game that the more interaction and the more fun you can make it, the better the game is, really. Also, rehearse and use Blackboard Collaborate to practice your game. Make sure that the rules are very clear, and work with the scorekeeper to build excitement. So in other words, you can say who is ahead, and it helps people sort of understand what they're doing. Try to keep the game short. I would even recommend 10 minutes rather than 20 minutes. We'll allot 20 minutes for each of the teams, but we want to try to have you keep the games very short. Here's some examples. Again, Jeopardy is really not a really good game to use. I'm not saying you can't use it, but I'm saying it's going to have problems. Yeah, and Brandon's asking, can we create our own Blackboard Collaborate room? Brandon, basically what we're going to do, yes, you can. Basically what we're going to do is we are going to set up a rehearsal area, or an area for you to rehearse your games, and so that's how that's going to work. Anyhow, so let's go ahead and continue. So now I'm going to ask Mo if Mo will help me with this game. Mo, are you still there? Hello, Mo, are you still there? Oh, can you speak? But I can't talk for some reason. Michael, are you still there? Oh, I think I know why. When I lost, let's see if I can get Mo to speak now. Wait, hold on. There, now try.
Yeah, now I can talk.
Excellent, okay. Excellent. Yeah, when we got disconnected from the server, I had to reset some things. So we're going to go through another example of a game, and so this is a real example from a game that was made before, and it's a very simple game. It also will cover some of the things we talked about in the session today. When you start your game, I want you to introduce each of the members of your team with a picture and some information about the people on the team. So go ahead and do that, and then go ahead and go through the rules. And Mo, would you read these rules?
Yeah, sure. So 2 rounds. First round, correct answers are worth $100. The second round, answers are worth $200, plus a bonus question worth $500. Teams buzz in by typing the name of your team in the chat window. After we say the question is, you will be disqualified from the question if your chat message arrives before we announce the question. And teams may chat with each other to determine the correct answer for 15 seconds. After 15 seconds, the team loses its turn and we announce the question again. Incorrect answers are deduced from your bank.
Okay. And now let me just ask, does everyone understand those questions? Do you have any questions about the rules? And this is a trick question, by the way. Do you have any questions about the rules? In other words, are you ready to play, or do you need more information? Okay, good. Somebody's smart. Okay, so basically you need to know what team you're on. So let's figure out what team you're on. So if your last name starts with A through H, you're on the software team. If your last name starts from I through P, you're on the hardware team, and at Q through Z, it's the wetware team. So now what I want you to do is just type into the chat window the name of the team that you're on right now. Okay, let's take a look. And Mo, you're going to have to be help working with me, so you won't be able to play. Okay. So Michael's hardware, wetware, software, wetware. Okay, it looks like we need to, well, hardware. You know what? We might be okay with that team distribution. That'll be fine. Okay, so let's begin the game. Go ahead, Mo.
So the question is, what is the course title number for this class?
And you ring in by typing the name of your team, and hardware gets it. So for hardware, for $100, what is the course title for this class? And Mo, I'm going to let you be the judge. Do you think that's good? Okay, Michael was hedging his bets and getting it in before somebody else did. Okay, 260p, and for $100, hardware gets $100 for a correct answer. So that's $100 for hardware. Okay, we'll continue.
All right, for $100, the question is, what should you do if you have a technical problem with Blackboard or your computer?
Okay, and it looks like software rang in first. So software for $100, what would you do if you have a technical problem with Blackboard or your computer? Okay.
There we go.
Okay, great.
They got it.
They got it right. And then for $100, that is software. Software now has $100. Hardware has $100. And wetware has 0. So wetware, get in there. We need to get you on the board.
All right, let's see if they can come back. For $100, the question is, what is the single most important document in an online course? Looks like hardware. Michael got it.
Yeah, it looked like hardware was first. So hardware for $100, what is the most important document in the course? The syllabus. For $100, that is the correct answer.
All right.
Great. So we got, basically right now we have hardware with $200, software with $100, and wetware with a big old 0. Wetware, are you there? Just to see whether or not you can actually ring in, just type wetware into the chat window. Okay.
All right, they're good.
They are. So you're not asleep, you're there, you're thinking human beings, you can do this. You can do this, and you can still win because the next round, the next round...
I like the attitude.
Yeah, the next round, the questions are worth $200, so even if you just get the first one right, you'll be tied for first place.
Okay, for $200, the question is, how many papers are due in this class?
Okay, hardware
Looks
came
like
up.
Michael.
Hardware came up first for $200. What hardware? For $200, what is your answer? And the answer is 2 papers. So hardware gets now $400. Hardware has $400. Software is 1, and wetware. Wetware, where are you? Okay, well here we go.
All right, for $200, the question is, what do you call an email that is designed to steal your username and password? All right, looks like wetware answered.
Wetware buzzed in. Now let's see if wetware can get the right answer. Okay, what do you call an email that is designed to steal your username and password? Wetware says phishing email, which is correct. For $200, we now have wetware with $200, software with $100, and hardware with $400.
All right. For $200, the question is, tell me, I forget, show me, I remember, involve me, blank, complete the phrase.
Oh my gosh, it looks like wetware rang in first. So wetware for $200.
All right, wetware.
And the answer,
I learned.
That's correct, for $200. So now we have a tie, $400 for wetware, $400 for hardware, and software, $100. Here we go. Now this is the bonus question. So this question is worth $500, and any one team can win. Software, you still there? Go ahead and type into the chat window. Let's see if you're actually still there. Software, just type soft. Okay, they're still there. So software, you could win the game if you get this question correctly. But remember, we deduct $500 if you get it incorrect. So be careful. Here we go. And the next one is, he's not going to say the question is. He's going to, this is not counting. He's going to say the bonus question is. So stand by. Here we go.
All right. The bonus question is, There are 3 main messages in this course. Name 1.
Oh boy, it looks like hardware. It looks like hardware is our player, and hardware.
We got
Name 1 of the main messages in this course. Oh boy. Okay, let's see. For $500 and the game, is one of the main messages in this course trust but verify? And yes, it is. Let's hear it for. Good job. Let's hear it for hardware. Hardware.
Good job, hardware.
That's great. Excellent. Really, really good. Really good. And now, does anybody have an idea what wetware means? We've got hardware, which is computers and phones and devices. We've got software, which runs the devices. Does anybody have an idea what wetware is? Take a guess. Hardware? Hardware that's waterproof? Nope. Think about what you need to communicate using devices. You need hardware, which is your device. You need software, which runs the device. And you need, Grant is getting very close. What kind of biology? Medical students. What do you need to communicate? Can you communicate with a brain? There we go. Grant says a brain. So wetware is a brain. A wetware is the most important part of web communication technology, and that is our brains. So really great. Fun job. Thank you so much. Let's let Mo know how much we appreciate Mo helping us with the that game. So just say, way to go, Mo, or good job, Mo, or thanks a lot, Mo. And also thank Hardware for winning the game. 600, actually more than 600. They got 900, and I'm going to point out that those are virtual dollars, just so you all know. Those are, they've got 900 virtual dollars. So, and $100 for software and $400 for wetware. Excellent. So all of the communication tools that we have in the course are available to you to communicate, but you can also use other outside tools. Your teams could communicate to create that learning game any way you want. You can use any kind of tool that you want, but we don't want you to meet face-to-face. There's a lot of really great platforms out there for team collaboration. Feel free to use any one you would like. And you'll find in my group, so in the My Group area on the Blackboard site, you'll find the groups that you're identified in. And your first activity is for you to find a name for your group. I will announce the groups tomorrow. So as soon as you get your group, try to figure out what the name of your group is. And you can use any of the tools in Blackboard, but do not use face-to-face. You can also use Google Docs. I highly recommend that. You can use any of the platforms. But one of the things to think about is how you communicate as a team. I'm a big fan of Bruce Tuckman's developmental sequence theory. And he basically says that there's 4 steps to the process of group or team collaboration. And the first step is to form your team. Once you form the team, you can you can begin to get to know the other members of the team. You can begin to understand the strengths and weaknesses of the other members of the team. And then what you do is you begin to storm, and that's the brainstorming process. So as you brainstorm, you look at all of the creative ideas that people have. And then after you do that, then what you do is you start norming. You start figuring out what is the process that we're going to have to go through in order to deliver this product, which is the learning game for the final product or project in the course. And then finally what you need to do is to perform. That's to go out and actually do what is expected of you. So form, get to know each other. Storm, create ideas and have an open mind and generate opportunities. Norm, identify your goal and outline responsibilities. And then perform, set a timeline, and coordinate your efforts through meetings. Yeah, oh yeah, tomorrow I'll announce the teams tomorrow. So use the process of form, storm, norm, and perform as your way of communicating in your team. And really that's going to be a great strategy. So think about that. The first thing you need to do is get to know your team. The next thing you need to do is you need to start storming ideas. And then after that you start creating a process or a timeline for how you're going to create it. And then you perform by actually putting it all together. How can you communicate? You can communicate any way you want to, except face-to-face. Think about the strategies that you will use to communicate. Think about the time that you'd like to communicate. Many of you are very busy people. You have lots of responsibilities. Find a way to think about strategically how you're going to communicate. Is it going to be a certain day of the week? A certain time? Are you going to have a responsiveness timeline? So in other words, if somebody's not responsive for a certain period of time, will you just move on with the decision? Also think about agreeing on your strategy so that everybody is on the same page for how you're going to communicate with each other. And also experiment with different communication technologies when you start out. So think about the way that you're going to communicate, what technology you're going to use to communicate, and that will take some time. Strategies might include using Google Docs, email, instant messaging. Think about other strategies like some people use a discussion forum to record the activity, so they have a place where they keep all of their records of their activities. Think about what days of the week you want to communicate with your team. Think about sending out an instant message for responses that need to happen in Google Docs. Think about your subject area for your messages. So these are some great strategies that I've seen in past classes. And one thing I'd like to really point out is that teamwork is really not a group responsibility. People have a hard time understanding this because oftentimes the team seems like the team goes out and wins the game. But what happens is if everyone on the team said, well, it's the team's responsibility, not my responsibility, they really wouldn't succeed. So what you actually have to do is assume an individual responsibility for the team's success and identify goals for the team. The team identifies goals, and then each one of you has an individual responsibility to achieve that particular goal. And we also have problems in teams frequently, and this is from the Oz principle, which I would recommend this book if you're interested in this sort of thing, organizational communications, etc. It's called Getting Results Through Individual and Organizational Accountability. And it involves the process of really being responsible for things that happen. And they have this concept of see it, own it, solve it, and do it. And they also have this concept of activities that are below the line and activities that are above the line. So above the line activities are to take ownership, be accountable, and be responsible. And those are the acronym OR helps you remember that if you need an acronym. but basically they're responsible activities to really be constructive. We have constructive behavior and we have unconstructive behavior. Unconstructive behavior is blaming, making excuses, and denial. And these are just kind of really common sense, sort of mature aspects to interacting with other people. But it's important to really recognize this because teams, especially teams in an online capacity, can have these problems. So help others understand that we want to be responsible and act in a constructive fashion. So I'm going to leave you now with my favorite quote, and it is attributed to Aristotle, and it's teaching is the highest form of understanding. And the idea behind that is to understand that when you teach others, you gain a greater understanding of the subject. So I would really like to, in really all of my classes, I enjoy turning the tables on you and making you all teachers, and encourage you to share what you know, share what you understand, and help each other. Because it is in the process of helping each other that you will succeed more. So with that, we will call an end to our organizational meeting. I will be posting your groups tomorrow. I want you to feel free to enjoy this class. Find a way to have fun, and feel free to contact me either by cell phone or by email. I look forward to all of your success, and I look forward to your creativity. Once again, let's thank Michael and Mo for helping out, and I look forward to your success and your participation in this class. Bye-bye, everybody.